Hello and welcome everyone to episode 69 of Video Game Club. As always, I am your host Tyler, and I have with me today Austin.
I was not prepared with a clever statement.
And it would not be a Video Game Club episode without the lore master, the story queen, Mox.
Hello.
Hello. Mox, how have you been?
I've been okay. How have you been?
I'm good. So did you do a full second playthrough of Tales of Arise for this? All the way through?
No, it sucks too much on the second playthrough.
Oh my god.
I cannot wait for you to explain the difference. I'm really looking forward to it. What have you been playing besides Tales of Arise second playthrough?
Well, not much of that. What have I been playing? A lot of Final Fantasy 14. I was in Zadnor, which is the Bozja, second area, third area, whatever. And for some reason, it was a random weekday night. And the area was full. I don't even think it's been full since it was created, 2 or 3 years ago. I know, this not PvP, PvE, but everybody's working together area. It was so fun. I couldn't believe it. Everybody that came in the channel was like, I've never seen Zadnor this full. And I've never seen it. And it was amazing.
Was it for an event or something?
No, there was no reason. Everyone was wondering the same thing. They were like, is there something new that was released in this area? And then, 5 people are like, no, I just felt like coming to Zadnor this weekday night. It was amazing.
Weird.
I loved it. This is why I love Final Fantasy 14. Do
you have any excitement for Final Fantasy 16? I know it's not an MMO or anything, but
it is definitely inspired by 14. Mm-hmm. Well, mostly, I shouldn't say it is inspired by the success of 14. Yeah. And I do think there's a lot of people that worked on each game. And I'm sure Square Enix was like, okay, what are they called? The stupid tokens that NFTs aren't working for us. We put a lot of money in that. What a waste of time. Final Fantasy 14 somehow makes us money hand over fist. Yeah. How are we going to extend it other than keeping Final Fantasy 14 going? Make another Final Fantasy that is totally inspired by it. And I'm so excited. It's primals, and just gotta love the primals, especially. Well, okay, Shiva, the best one.
Yep.
I'm so excited.
They're calling them icons now, I think.
Yes, they call them that in the Final Fantasy 14 too. It depends on who you're asking.
Oh, did not know that. That's exciting. So you'll pick it up day one, PS5?
Well, I always wait to get reviews of people who aren't playing the game for free. So we'll see. But I have to see what the pre-order, bonuses or whatever are.
You wait for the first couple of updates to come out, Wait for him to fix the last chapter of the game.
I know, you're right. There's really no reason 2023 to buy pre-order games.
It's true.
Come on. The pre-order bonuses are never good either.
Yeah, very, very rare. They're anything substantial at all.
This game has early access while the game's broken.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. But then you can stream it and make content.
Ooh.
Along with the other 30,000 people who did the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
I paid to be here.
Gosh.
Drops enabled, though.
Well, I'm also excited for 16, so maybe that will be a fun one to play at the same time. We gotta get
you to play 12.
Oh, yeah.
It's so good.
The Zodiac Age.
Yes.
Yeah. I know Austin's a big fan of 12. Austin, you have been playing stuff besides Tales of Arise, probably.
Which Yakuza?
Sounds like a you thing.
I have not played any Yakuza the last 2 weeks, or the last 4 weeks. Basically, as soon as I started Tales of Arise, I put Like a Dragon down.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
It's okay. I could not do both of those at once. And after I finished Tales, I was like, I need a breather from the RPG life right
now. Makes sense.
So Tyler came to visit.
Yay.
Last weekend.
Oh yeah.
And we beat some games then. We did we finished off Super Monkey Ball.
Yep.
Portal
whatever
2?
The newest one is. No, he's playing Portal by himself.
Yeah.
we started Pocky and Rocky Reshrined, and because of like a weird controller bug on
Mox.
Steam Deck, we did not finish it.
Mox,
but
listen to this though about that game. Sorry, Austin.
I've never heard
Go
of
ahead.
this game.
Okay, so it's a Super Nintendo game that got like a remaster, remake,
/ new game,
game, expanded, whatever, for Steam. Anyway, Mox, you had to put in a code to unlock co-op for this game. Isn't that
like
weird?
Google? A Googleable code?
Yeah, but like, why? Why not just give it to you?
I found out why, and it's because in the main story they teach you like significant mechanics you need to play through the game, and like that's also how you unlock your characters and stuff like that. So you're supposed to unlock co-op by playing a lot of the main story, like a lot more than you probably should have to. But that's why.
But the Super Nintendo game is co-op from the start.
Co-op from the start, but it also doesn't have these special mechanics or those other characters.
That's fair. Okay.
So
Anyway.
It's a cute idea.
Yeah. Anyways, after we failed to complete it because once a controller disconnects on the Steam Deck, you can't reconnect and like play as your character anymore.
What?
And there's no like stop and continue your run in co-op.
Mm-hmm.
We got about halfway through. After Tyler left, I went and played through the rest of it solo, and I went from the beginning to end, and it was like with all the new mechanics and stuff, it was very, very cool, very good game. Loved that. I finished Freedom Planet 2 finally. That was a super hard ending, like oh my god. But that was good. That was a much longer game than I thought it would be. It was like 10 hours long.
We finished the Punch Win.
Yep.
The what?
Yeah, it's a terrible name.
A very awful name. It's
Punch Win. It's a penguin who's like a boxer.
So it's like a falling block game, except instead of controlling the blocks, you're a penguin who's like in that level, and you punch the blocks to where you want them to go.
Like Catherine. Tetris plus Catherine.
Kind of.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Except you're a little bit more mobile than Catherine.
But yeah, similar though.
Yeah.
And then we beat a Kirby Forgotten
Land.
Yeah, Forgotten Land.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what else I've been playing.
Mario's Missing.
Yeah, well, I showed you Mario's Missing, and that went about as well as expected. And I've been playing the final season of Knockout City while it's around, so still working my way through that.
Oh, rip.
Yeah.
All good things must come to an end.
It's true.
I know. I got like a month and a half left on it.
Whenever we visited, we also played through the Halo Fireteam Raven arcade game.
Yep, that's right.
Which costs like $20-ish per person.
What?
To play through the whole thing?
Yeah, because of continues and all that, Mox, because of arcade game and all that.
Oh.
Yeah. But we did beat it, and it was fun.
Yeah.
I liked it.
Not a must play in the Halo universe or anything like that.
No,
But,
not at all.
You know, if you want to be a real gamer, a real Halo fan,
Yep.
say you've played all the games, which Tyler can't say he's done yet, but you know, he's almost there.
I need to play the weird top-down one, and I need to play Halo Wars 2 all the way through.
Yeah.
Then I'm done. Yeah. Whenever I came back from visiting Austin, by the way, we saw the Mario movie. Mox, you don't have any. You're probably not going to see it, right?
Zero interest.
Zero. I will say this. I will say one thing about it, and then I'll let Austin say what he wants to say. Chris Pratt isn't as bad as you think he is.
Chris Pratt is bad. He's who he is. It doesn't matter what he's doing.
But playing as Mario, it wasn't as distracting as I thought it would be.
Well, that's good.
Would have been. Do you have anything you want to say about the movie, Austin?
Agreed. All the moments in the trailers where it's like, oh, it's Chris Pratt, sounded like Chris Pratt. Like none of that was actually in the movie. Like if you didn't tell me that it was Chris Pratt playing Mario, I wouldn't have known it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. It was fun. It was
fun.
not. It wasn't like the best movie of all time, but it was a great game adaptation. And if you're gonna make a movie about Mario, I think that was a pretty good way to do it. I liked what they did with Peach.
Oh yeah.
I hope they bring in Rosalina in the next movie. That would be cool.
That would be super cool. and Andron joined us for that too, which is pretty nice.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. I have been playing Resident Evil 4 Remake, Resident Evil 2 Remake. I go back and forth, which I know is really weird. And then I have been working my way through the Tomb Raider reboot, and I hit like a pretty big story beat. So I want to say I'm like, if I look at the journals, there's 10 of them total, and like she like journals at significant story moments. I'm 7 out of 10 journals through. Whether or not that means I'm 70% or not, I have no clue. And then I've been playing some Xenoblade Chronicles 3.
Did you play Torna?
I did. Mm-hmm. Torna's good.
I guess I keep looking for excuses not to play it and just skip right to 3, but I probably should play
I mean, they're disconnected. There's no...
I know, but it's like I paid for it, and
all right,
it's like still part of 2, I guess.
Yeah.
I still need to play 1 and X.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, I need to play X
Okay,
too.
there are rabid fans of X that will say, "Oh, that's the quintessential Xenoblade game." But I think 90% of the rest of the universe that is sane will say, "Oh, don't worry, you can."
But I bought it.
Oh my goodness.
Oh well, then yeah, you should play it. But I think
for your Wii U.
Yeah, I think they're gonna bring it to Switch next year.
I don't think so? They will.
Or I think they'll announce it this year.
We keep saying they're gonna do it, and then it's just like, no, we're just gonna leave it on the Wii U.
Nah.
It seems like how many Wii U games? Well, I was gonna say was what's it called? Tokyo Mirage Sessions Shoppa Fee released on anything other than Wii U? I'm not sure.
Switch.
It came to
I
Switch.
know it was. It came to Switch. I was going to say how many Wii U games have come to Switch, and then I thought none, but that one.
Most of them have made the transition over, but there's a few leftovers like Wind Waker HD, Twilight Princess HD.
Yeah.
I don't know why those haven't
really
been brought over.
If you said have those games come to Switch already, I said they must have.
But they didn't.
They did
They
not.
could make so much money.
Yeah, they would print. They would print money.
For some reason, the Wii U version of Fatal Frame, like it came to modern platforms. The Switch version didn't have any of the Nintendo exclusive stuff that was in the Wii U version. I don't know why.
What?
Yeah,
that is bizarre.
Fatal Frame is well beloved too. You'd think they'd give it like the star treatment.
Oh yeah,
I know, because they had like all these special like Nintendo costumes and stuff like that you could unlock, and no, none of that was in the Switch version.
I think it's saying Nintendo saying you didn't buy our Wii U, we're mad at you.
They also, I think they published it on Wii U, and they did not have anything to do with the new version.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Well, we're not here to talk about the Wii U, although we could for hours. We're here.
Welcome to Wii U Video Game Club.
For Video Game Club, where usually every 2 weeks we discuss a game voted on our wonderful friends in the Bombchu Discord and discuss that game right here on twitch.tv/BombchuTV. If you can't catch us live, don't worry. You can find it on YouTube, all major podcast services. If you appreciate what you're hearing, please let us know. Subscribing, rating, commenting, all those things.
Tell us what games to play.
Yes, because after this episode, we will do some Austin nominations, which I'll go over those at the end. But after that, we're going to do viewer nominations. I don't know why I always say user. I think that's a work habit. Viewer nominations. And listeners like you. So come to the Discord, write down your nomination. We will put them all together and we will look through them and pick some. The last one we did was Kirby Planet Robobot. I think that was Clearin who nominated that game, and I enjoyed it. And I bought a Kirby game right after that and played it. So there you go. The nominations for this episode, in case you forgot, were Tales of Symphonia Remastered, Tales of Berseria, and Tales of Arise. And these were some Mox suggestions. And so now we're going to talk about Tales of Arise Part 2. Just to recap really quickly, if you don't know anything about Tales of Arise and you're listening to Part 2, go listen to Part 1. What are you doing? But if for some reason you're like, no, I'm not going to listen to you, I'm just going to listen to Part 2, fine. It's a third-person action RPG developed by Bandai Namco Studios, published by Bandai Namco Entertainment, released September 10th, 2021 on PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series, PC, all those things. we've played some games from 2021. Go listen to part 1 if you're curious about what those were. But now, some of us have played this one. So, how did it review? Because we didn't talk about this before. So it got generally positive reviews, 8s and 9s. People really liked the gameplay, the story, the visuals, the characters. Some things that people pointed out. I'm curious if you guys... I noticed a little bit while playing, so I'm curious if you guys did. Have you guys noticed that the boss fights are exponentially harder, it seems?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that was on purpose to push for the shortcut DLC that they have? You guys know what I'm talking about?
I would say no, but that's my opinion.
Is the shortcut DLC like the level up DLC?
Yeah.
I know I saw some people thinking that because like in the first couple of areas it's ultra hard to level up.
Yeah.
And some people were saying that is to get you to buy that DLC. I think it's just because they paced the game really poorly and they don't really introduce actual like experience grinding until the third area. I think they just wanted the bosses to be more of like a non-trivial kind of thing.
Yeah, more significant.
And especially
and
like
feel of accomplishment, probably.
If you turn the difficulty down, like it's definitely easy to get through. Like it's definitely not a wall that you have to pay to get past.
That is, yeah, good point.
I would say the difficulty of the bosses really they're just like bullet sponges. That's the main. So it just makes it longer.
Yeah.
More than like, I don't know, technically difficult.
Yeah, I would argue a lot of the enemies are just bullet sponges, but that's my opinion.
I would agree.
Well, and so does the modding community, who like other than all of the like mods that change how people look, which is all I will say about that. The main mods are like reduce whatever the weird camera thing or whatever Austin talked about last time was, and then reduce bullet sponge bosses. Those are the main ones.
Huh. This was the fastest selling entry in the series. It sold 1 million copies in week 1. Well, it shipped 1 million copies, but you know, and April 2022, 2 million copies. I have a question for you guys, Mox and Austin. When I was preparing this, is it actually the fastest selling, or and I guess this could be a true statement for both, but I was thinking about this metric, fastest selling. Aren't there more people playing video games now than there were whenever the other games were released, probably?
I thought this one was released in English simultaneously as Japanese, and the other ones were not, like, had simultaneous releases. They were localized later. That's what I thought.
That could be part of it.
I think it's a little bit of both, because we've entered kind of an age where if your game is grabbing headlines, then, like, even if it's been in a long-running series, like, if it's grabbing big headlines, it's going to be a chart topper, right? Like, Animal Crossing was this latest one the best in the series? I think a lot of people would say there was a lot missing from it, but because of how the internet works now, and word of mouth, and because of its timing, like, that, it did extremely well. And I think we're starting to see, like, long-running series are making changes to their games to have a more broad appeal and more of a lasting appeal. Like Breath of the Wild, you're still seeing people make videos about that because it's a very systemic game, and that was a change to make it something more appealing to the internet, where even though Nintendo hates people making money off of content from just showing off their game, they found a way to make it work, right?
Yeah.
Well, in a quick scroll of the Tales wiki and looking at all the popular titles, the English release was either like 6 to 8 months later or a year, and in some case 2 years later. Yeah.
That could totally be part of it. As far as, but like if Elden Ring released 20 years ago, let's just say, would it have sold as many copies as it did if it released, like, you know, whenever it did recently?
No.
Probably not.
Very poorly under that scenario. If you look at what that game was called, it was called Kingsfield. And that did not do very well.
What are you talking about?
So this is a real thing.
Oh my gosh.
From Software, the precursor to Demon Souls, Dark Souls, Elden Ring, and all that. I think it's called, I'm almost certain, it's called Kingsfield.
1994.
Holy
so
cow.
not 20 years ago, but 30 years ago. And it's a very niche game. I don't know how well it sold, but it definitely didn't do Elden Ring numbers.
The point Elden Ring was a bad example then, because the point I was trying to make was if you took the same game, exact same, and you released it 20 years earlier, I think it would have sold less copies, because I think there's just less people playing games 20 years ago. But because I think gaming has exploded. Evolved.
It's you couldn't have had a game like that back then, right? I think games have kind of evolved to where we've been able to find these systemic experiences that can appeal to that many people, where like different people can like different things about a game. Games have become less focused, I think, in a good way, where it's like, it used to be, okay, well, if you like this game, then this is what you like about it, and that's it. Whereas now it's like a lot of people can play a game in very different ways and find something different to like about it. So there's a much broader appeal.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, moving on here. So we already talked a lot about gameplay, visuals, audio, everything, all the discussion points. But
I want to bring up one point I forgot to bring up last time.
Oh, let's go for it.
If you play this game on Steam Deck, it has a custom-made controller interface made by Bandai Namco. For the Steam Deck, which I
never
appreciate.
Happens. Yeah.
Like it's cool when that happens. Also, it just completely assumes that you don't want to use the D-pad in menus like they support on all the other platforms.
I only use the D-pad in menus.
Yeah, same.
That's how you use menus. You use a D-pad. And so I thought when I played this game initially that it just didn't support that. And I was like, that's really stupid.
I remember you saying that.
Yeah.
And I went looking in the options for like how to change that. There was nothing. And I found out, like when I played it on my desktop, I found out that it's just a thing on Steam Deck. And so I tried removing their custom thing and just having it set as a generic controller. Game doesn't work that way. Like you just can't control the game at all. It doesn't pick up your controls. I tried setting because the D-pad was set to do nothing. So I was like, okay, well, let's make the D-pad work like a D-pad. Nothing. You have to go. So when you set up, when you have a custom setup controller system like that, they have like different scenarios that will change the controls. And so you have to go find that part. Yeah, it's cool that that's a thing.
It's hard to set up though.
Key off of that. But you have to go find the menu scenario and then assign like special actions. You can't assign just controls. You have to assign special actions to the D-pad for that. And it's man, it was just why.
They could put that in the official one.
Yeah,
I know. They should.
You should submit a pull request.
They don't.
If only it's possible. Yeah.
So anyways, if you're playing on Steam Deck, be aware. The D-pad does work in the menus. You just have to set it up yourself.
Well, there you go. Did the gameplay of the part 2 of this game, did it change significantly in any way? Mox?
No.
Austin?
So when you talk about the gameplay, you're like your experience playing the game moment to moment.
I'm sorry, I thought you meant like controls.
I was talking more mechanics, but yeah.
So yeah, they don't really introduce new mechanics, I don't think, right?
No. I think they take things away. I don't know. We'll get to it.
Yeah.
Fun being one of us. No.
Oh my gosh, Mox! little behind. Wait. No.
She said it, not me.
Now I have to. Now I feel like I have to give some behind the scenes on the pre-show here when Mox was telling me how disappointed she was in me.
You needed to watch the story. You needed to watch the Tales of Arise: the movie.
Okay.
Especially,
I don't think you really missed anything, but
that's like half the reason is to watch it so that you could share in this pain.
Oh, I see. It's like,
but the playing it is the painful, not the watching it.
Okay,
like you could have just put it on while you're like, I don't know.
There's not a whole lot of difference between playing and watching it, but
Yeah.
I see your point.
Especially in the second half.
Reminds me whenever we played some game that Chris dominated, and he was just like, "Yeah, this game's awful," and I was like, "What? Why did you want us to play this?"
Because Chris is amazing.
Yeah,
that's why.
Gosh, love you, Chris. Visuals didn't change, I'm assuming.
I guess the areas got less interesting to me.
Well, they started off kind of blah, I think.
Well, okay, just the first area. But then after that, it was amazing. I liked the second area. It was very, like, atmospheric.
I love the town
it lost it.
That the footage is in. This, like, it kind of looks like Rivendell a little bit, or reminds me of Rivendell, but it's like beautiful, like, fall trees and old houses and stuff. It's the one where they overthrew the Lord. Love that place is really pretty.
I guess I assumed that the footage would start at the second half.
Yeah, I didn't get there.
No worries. It's not that big a deal.
Okay. I'm assuming audio didn't change much, right? Same stuff. Did anyone have any issues with were there some weird control bugs that happened or anything in their second half?
No.
No, it's the same bad controls.
Besides what you brought up, Austin, already. And performance
still stunk.
Did all of a sudden some crazy performance things happen?
I don't remember if I brought this up last time. This is not performance, but like in terms of interface. I started to run into it more the further in I got into the game, but when you open a chest, if you have too much of an item, it tells you. It's like, hey, this is what's in here, and if you open it, you're going to lose 3 of this item. Are you sure you want to open it? And it's like, oh, thank you for telling me, instead of just burning those items.
Yep.
That was one thing I appreciated about the interface that I didn't run into as much early on as I did later.
Because of that feature, I actually used my items like more than I usually do in RPGs.
Well, especially because the cap for your item space was
like 10.
15.
10 or 15.
Yeah.
It was too small.
Low. Mox, did you find yourself using more items than you usually do?
So because I did in the new game rollover, I kept my items, which were maxed. Because by a certain point, you don't really need items anymore. Because money is like limitless. So no, I didn't need items. Okay. And I saw that stupid message so many times, and I'm thinking, I guess I just leave this chest here and it will stay unopened forever.
Are you an RPG player who tries to like never use items if you can, because you always feel like you're going to need them for something bigger?
It depends on the kind of item. If it's an elixir in Pokemon or rare candies, those never get used because you only get a certain number of them. But otherwise, no, I use them because I don't want a game over.
Okay. I will take a game over using items usually.
Oh no.
Which is really
this
dumb.
game. I regularly used up all of the items.
Well, if you don't, your characters will for you if you don't tell them to behave themselves.
I know.
In my experience,
which it's like one of the limits is like leaving 10 items behind, which is the max.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So then that means we can throw on this spoiler tag. And we can start talking about our takes of the story. Full disclosure, I did not finish this game. And like I've already hinted at before, I did not watch a Tales of Arise the movie of this game either. But Mox has played through this game at least once, 1.5 times. And she is the story queen, so she will tell us everything that we need to know about the story. And of course, Austin, you played through the whole thing as well, right?
I did.
And I heard that you loved the story.
I don't know who told you that, but they are a liar.
So when we left off, or let's just get into it, Mox.
Let me get into it. Yeah. So when we stopped, Xian had just come back to our party after being taken away by, oh god, I already forgot his name, Volron. And it is at that point in my opinion, and only in retrospect, that the story becomes infinitely less interesting. Because after this, you go and fight Volron, and then you have a lore dump, and it is bizarre. It doesn't like fit with the theme of the rest of the game, where you're like, we need to go and rescue collect these cores because we're fighting for our independence, and then it's like, I don't know. I can't talk about it I can only talk about it in retrospect. But at that moment where the lore dump after you fight Volron and win, and then you like assemble all of the cores, and you're kind of like, the team is like, well, we don't know what this does. But then this red woman who has been in the background, I think you've seen her multiple times by that point, comes in, takes it, and then like makes Alphen and Xion like act weird, and they're like, what is all of this? And it's inexplicable. Why did this happen? It doesn't make sense. And it completely takes away, in my opinion, the story for the first half, which was very compelling.
Yeah.
So that's why. I don't know. Austin, what do you think?
So it feels like this, like beating the Lord there, Volron, was the natural end point, like the bookend to the first part of the story. But there's no avoiding that it starts the second part of the story there as well. Like, it's a big old chunk of like, what's that mean? What's happening here? What's going to happen there? And then it like even replaces your opening cutscene when you start the game up. So like the one that you kept skipping and that Tyler kind of liked,
goes away.
Like, that goes away. That gets replaced by a new one.
New song?
Which also sucks.
New song. New cutscene, new everything. And it's like, hey, you're playing a new game, or this is the other game. The story goes in a totally different direction, and then the gameplay and pacing and everything else also goes in a totally different direction.
Which is why I picked the halfway point where I did.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
I kind of get that. I think we could have also played to that point and then stopped there as well. But either way, it is definitely the two halves of the game are very distinct.
It's like B team, or A team left, went to go develop the next Tales of game, and then B team came in.
And they were like, all right, guys, we're going to space.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
In a game where, although it was acknowledged that like there's a separate satellite that people live on, and so the space travel like must be in some way possible, it was also, I don't know, not a big deal, or at least it wasn't made into a big deal. And then now space travel is like the only thing left, which is bizarre in my opinion.
I think even the devs knew, like, hey, in other this is kind of a thing in RPGs where it's like, okay, it's kind of an old setting, but then like, what if towards the end we go to space?
Right.
Like that's been done before, like in some of the Final Fantasy games, stuff like that. And I feel like even the devs were like, oh, well, I guess we could just do like we always do and just go to space. That's kind of how they treat it. Like, yeah, of course, we're going to space, right?
Yeah.
It gave me the same vibe as, I don't know if you guys saw the movie Cowboys versus Aliens.
Oh my gosh, yes. Yes. It does.
But not in the same warm, fuzzy, who doesn't love Daniel Craig kind of way.
Right.
I forgot that movie existed for the last several years of my life, so thanks for reminding me.
We're going to have to watch it.
Love it.
Do we need to watch that?
No,
I think once was enough.
We need to watch that and Uncle Buck with Mox next time we're on one place.
We got it.
I'll put Uncle Buck on my Plex server. We'll do a little remote play session.
I love it. Now we have to do Cool Runnings too, though. Maybe Planes, Trains, and
Cool Runnings.
Anyway. So now you stay in this water area after this red woman takes the master cores, and you're like, oh, what's going on? We don't know. And you like help the water area people, Pelagian, which is just a very good on the nose name for the area, because they've been like, anyway, they've been brainwashed into being like soldiers, and so they have to help them recuperate. And then randomly, somehow, there is a new thing that just lands on the planet from Rena, the like home
The
planet.
wedge.
Yeah. And I hate that area when you eventually get there. It sucks. It's my least favorite part of the game. But then you're like...
It's awful. It's awful. I could we can talk about it now or in a moment, but I would like to talk about it.
Go
ahead now.
It's a terrible dungeon. It's long, and like and specifically in the second part of half of the game, they build the corridors so that you can't, like, one, there's mini bosses, which are bosses you fought before, but they're just regular enemies now. Except they don't follow regular enemy combat rules, so you still have to get them halfway down, do a strike before you can do any more damage, and then you have to continue fighting. And like, they're still the crazy damage sponges that they used to be.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh my god. But on top of that, they are placed in corridors so that you can't bypass them.
No.
And so, like, in previous dungeons, you could kind of like get around enemies and stuff like that if you were skilled enough, especially like grabbing items and stuff.
Yeah.
Here, just making basic progress. They're standing in the doorway. There's no way to get past them, so you have to fight everything.
Do they respawn?
So as soon as you finish the dungeon,
mm-hmm.
they go, okay, big cutscene, da-da-da, all right, now it's time to leave. Everything in the dungeon respawns, and they disable your fast travel. So you can't get out. You have to go back and fight everything again on the way out. It's awful. It's so stupid. I was furious.
Gameplay.
I know.
Gameplay.
The area itself, too, is very ugly. And
yes,
like,
very samey.
Yeah, there's
lots
nothing
of rooms
to it.
that have no purpose.
Yeah, and I don't know. At least, like, I don't know. I'm trying to think if there's any monster that I was like, oh, I want to fight that one again. But I definitely didn't feel that way in that area.
No.
And anyway, it was stupid. But before you go there, you have to go and get, do some more backtracking. Go and get, like, a spaceship that somehow you guys are like, oh, there's a spaceship. We got to go get it, which is still Cowboys versus Aliens. Kind of weird.
It's Alphin's spaceship, right?
Yes.
From 300 years ago.
Oh, is that revealed later?
No, then.
Okay.
I think that was at the halfway point where it was like, oh, Alphin remembers who he was.
Mm-mm.
Which is like a tool in a ritual 300 years ago put into like stasis like Link was in Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, the maiden who was related to Xion put him into stasis until he could wake up and not be in pain anymore, and that's why the mask was on him, because it blocked his pain so he wouldn't have to feel what he was going through. And
wouldn't remember to redo the ritual, which was
stupid.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then you realize, or you learn that, well, and Xion is like, no, I need the ship. And then Alphin's like, no, we need it. What's wrong with you? Why are you hurting? And Xion reveals that she's always had her thorns, and her thorns prevent her from dying. And so they're trying to figure out how to get rid of her thorns. And she's been like, that's why she's very much like, I don't care what we do. Like, let's just do it, because she can't die. So
and her plan is that she's going to kill the thorns and also kill herself in doing that. She won't tell anybody that until the she's back to being standoffish. Is the big.
Oh, cool! I really like that part.
It was wonderful. It was wonderful to have that again after this big emotional moment.
Yeah.
Oh, let's.
Like, I'm mad at you that you have to kill yourself. So dumb.
Yeah.
I didn't like it. Anyway, so then I think they go to the wedge, right?
Yeah.
No, wait, it's later. I can't remember.
The wedge is the first dungeon you go to after.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't remember what they learned at the wedge. I think it was like nothing important because
Rinwell is like she can hear a voice
right.
calling to her, and it's like, what is it? It's like astral energy talking to her.
Yes, Dana's will.
Dana's
Rinwell
will.
can hear Dana's will. I remember that. But then it's like they also still have no information other than they have to go to Lenegis, which all the information, all of the like energy through the wedge is being sent to Lenegis, and Lenegis is like on the way to Rena. So we like have to go to Lenegis and figure out what's going on there. That's where they go and get the ship. They go to the ship, they get the ship, they go to Lenegis. Lenegis is like where quote unquote the Renans live. They go there, nobody knows anything that's going on. They're like, oh, there's there's people there. They go through the residential area and people are like, oh, we love our like the person that we're supporting in the crown
Right.
contest. And of course, you have Dohalim with you, who is one of the lords.
It's
and
some
I think
Hunger
he
Games
killed
type of
someone.
stuff, right? Kind of.
Sorry?
Isn't it some Hunger Games type stuff? As far as like voting on the lords and all that. Okay.
And like Dohalim has like, now we learn about Dohalim's like dark secret, because everybody has a dark secret.
Of course.
Actually, I don't think your guys' favorite character had one.
No, she was pure.
She's
Yeah.
yeah.
That's why she had I always put her with the halo and the wings. Anyway, so Dohalim has his like, moment of getting forgiveness from someone who's like, I don't remember, boyfriend or someone he killed. Boring. They go and they encounter again.
One sec. They also do a quick side quest during that where they're like, hey, actually, all those lords that you killed, they had like, they were kind of deep people. Like, they were real people too. They weren't just one-dimensional evil bad guys. But it's all delivered from like NPC dialogue. It's like, oh, actually, that guy was pretty cool. It's like, why wouldn't you just make them interesting people while they were around instead of just super one-dimensional bad guys?
Well, then you won't murder them.
Well, and this is the same thing of like, we're told this. We're not shown anything. And
Right.
so the first half of the game, we're like, up to Shion coming your party again, we're like shown the story because we're in the thick of it. But everything after that now is we're told everything.
Yes.
Like, Dana's will tells us. And later we'll talk to someone who tells us. Anyway, you're going through this zone. And then I think you you find the red woman again who had like brainwashed the guy who's mad at you for killing their partner or whatever. And they try to get the master core that she has and then like try to, I don't know, save people's lives. It's dumb. It doesn't make any sense to me.
It's called the Renaissance, basically,
Yes.
I think. Yeah.
All the cores put together, that's what it is. And I don't think we know what it does at this point.
Just, that Shion wants it to get rid of her thorns.
Yeah.
And
that was the initial impetus behind getting it. And
it has to do with like the ritual that involves Alphen and Shion, or at least like some form of Shion in the
spirit
past.
channeling ceremony.
Yes, I forgot what his part was. The maiden.
He was the
what was it?
The sovereign.
That's right. They were dumb. And I think in Nixium, the cult, someone's name is Sovereign. And that's all I was thinking about playing this game was Sovereign from Nixium, the cult, the sex cult. So, bad choice. Anyway, they go to the Forbidden Zone where nobody's allowed because there's always a Forbidden Zone in a town that's, kind of run by a...
We don't question it.
Exactly. And they like learn information. They see like clones of these red women that have been trying to like do the ceremony. They take the Renaissance again. They have to they fly away somehow and go to Rena, which is like the last place we haven't been. And then they are like about to go to Rena, but then red women in space like redirect their ship and you see what happened to Rena, which as you're looking at it, looks like a planet, but then when they fly to the side of it, which it doesn't make sense. How is this planet just staying in one place? Doesn't make sense. It's like hollowed out, and you're like, what? That's like the big what moment. Yes, and there's like this ginormous flower on it. Then you go to this other like ship that is just nearby, and you talk to Hevrect 35, which sounds like something from Destiny 2. And he gives you the last like information dump telling you everything. You're not shown anything. It's really dumb.
Yeah.
But they're part of this race, this alien race called the Helganquil, and the red
Terrible
women.
Name.
Yes, it's dumb. And the red women are part of it. And like, I think it was 300 years ago, or maybe even longer. No, it was 300 years ago. They came to this, planet system of Rena and Dana, and we're like, oh, there's energy in there that we can eat. And so that's it. They're like, we got to eat that energy any way we can. And they figure out the best way to do it is to manipulate the races on the planets and like change.
It's one race.
It's one race,
right?
Yeah.
Of people. And they go, well, we'll just make the people who can use magic, we'll put them on this planet.
And the ones who can't.
And then we'll say that they're
remnants.
this race.
Right.
And we'll put them in control of these guys so that they harvest this energy for us.
So they're fighting their own people, basically.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And like we'll manipulate it, and we'll have the crown contest and make these people generate all this energy for us, and then we'll eat it and it will be great. But it's like, what was it in one of the Guardians of the Galaxies where it's like once you eat a planet, you can't do like it's gone. You have to
Right.
go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And so anyway, so they're like, okay, we got it all. You know, we're doing a great job. But then Shion's ancestor interrupted the previous one, however many years ago, and so they have to like build up to it again to make sure they get all that energy the second time. And then like Hevrek's group is like, oh, we don't care what happens. We're just like, you know, sitting here watching. We're scientists taking in information. Like, whatever you need to do, go ahead and do it, which I didn't like. That was boring. And they were like, okay, you're here now. Like, stay with us and watch. And then they have to negotiate. Okay, no. We need to go and like stop this. And then Hevrek's just like, all right, okay, fine, go ahead.
And he also like, he wants you to do it his way. And then you're like, no, we want to do it our way. He goes, no, you just can't have a ship then. We're not going to fix your ship because you have to do it my way.
So
which
pouty.
involves killing Shion. And I'm not going to have any other. And so then Alpha's just like, well, then we just won't do it. And the planet will die. And Hevrek's like, oh, okay. We'll do it your way. Like, there's no fight. It's just so
it was literally that
pointless.
way. It was like literally discussed that way. So boring. Like they turned their backs to walk away, and then Hevrek's like, "Wait, so stupid." Anyway, so then they go to Rena, and it's like nothing. Another boring area that is not interesting to look at. No interesting things to do there, and then they just have to go and fight the
Great Spirit.
The Great Spirit, the thing that's eating all the energy.
Yeah,
and then annoyingly, Volron comes in the worst
course.
moment.
What the hell?
Why?
What the hell?
I don't understand. It didn't make sense.
He's
Deus
been
Ex
gone
Machina.
for half of the game.
but he is
And
back.
like in that first half, they keep teasing him like, "Oh, this this crazy bad guy," and then he's the big bad guy. Oh my god! Then you fight him and he's dead, and then no explanation, no tease. He just shows up, and it's not a good fight.
No.
It's not a fun fight. They take away all of your people. It's you and him, and that's
it's a
it.
duel.
And auto doesn't work in
Oh,
that
no.
fight. By the way, if you've been playing auto,
No,
you can't do
I
that
didn't know
anymore.
that.
No.
That's really funny. Is there a reason why they took away Otto?
I think because your teammates are gone.
That doesn't
I
make
don't know.
sense.
Basically, you're supposed to dodge his attacks and counter them until a certain point, and then they go, okay, now keep playing, but just FYI, nothing matters, and we'll show you that because now you can't use your items anymore.
Which they're all delay tactics. None of these are like actually adding like
Anything.
intrigue to the game.
Yes. And on top of this was a very long dungeon with so many bosses. So many. Just all over the place.
So many,
and it was the same
bosses,
floor
right?
over and over again.
Yes.
Because you would go through and you get to the end of the floor and they go, oh, this was the inversion room. Now we gotta go through the same floor, but we're upside down. And then you get across there and you go across another floor that's the exact same thing and you do it again. Oh my god. It was that like 6 times, I want to say. Oh my gosh. Sorry.
No.
But yes, then Volron shows up. Go on.
Well, I was going to say, like, that dungeon, in addition to the Wedge dungeon, sucked the life out of the game. There was nothing interesting. Like, I like in Ocarina of Time when you invert the dungeon, and Majora's Mask too, you invert the dungeon, and it inherently changes how you play that area. And you have to use that, like, you have to be logical about it. This has nothing. It's just
traverse the same area.
pointless. And it didn't even make sense. Why?
No.
Anyway, like, so you go and fight 1,000 things, and then you fight him, and then I think you have to, like, deal with the Great Spirit who's, like, waiting in the background, and so Shion tries to sacrifice herself, and then, while Alphen's, like, busy doing the Volron duel, and then Volron, again, being awful, destroys the Renaissance, so then everybody's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, he blows himself up.
World's over. And then they are like, oh, no, wait, we can still do something. And they can, like, this is a conduit, isn't it? We could call Dana's spirit through the conduit. It works both ways or something like that. And so they do that to, like, summon Dana's will again to save everyone. Another Deus Ex Machina. And they save everybody. Doesn't make sense. They do it, though.
And then Alphen and Shion, who have been only hinting at having any sort of a romance, get married.
Oh, no way. Wow.
So boring.
I never would have guessed. Yeah.
And then, Dana and Rena fuse back into their, like, single planet
and they live in peace.
garbage. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. this. So again, I like the first half of the story where you're like, there's intrigue. Characters don't like each other because they come from different factions.
Yeah.
You're expecting in one area, if you fight a lord in one area, you fight a lord in the second area. In the third area, the lord is friendly. In the fourth area, the lord is dead. And, it's like, oh, that's interesting.
Well, yeah.
I think I had those first. Anyway. But then the next parts are all just like so samey. Go through this dungeon, fight things. That's it. That's the theme
lore
of
dump.
the second half
Not
of the game.
interesting lore dump.
No. And it's all out of nowhere. And I don't like when lore obviates like previous lore. I don't mind it if there's like a secret that changes your understanding of the previous lore. Like I just watched Arrival last night again for like the second time. I love that movie.
Never seen it.
I'm going to spoil it. But
I've never seen it.
No, don't spoil it.
Fine, okay.
Don't spoil it.
I won't spoil it.
I understand what you mean. And if you've watched in the audience, then you understand what Mox is talking about. And if you don't understand, please watch
Arrival. It's free on YouTube.
Okay.
I couldn't believe it.
I'll go watch it.
I had a hankering to watch it, and I was watching it on Pluto TV, and then I Googled it, where can I watch this without commercials, because I was getting aggravated. YouTube has it for free. So bizarre. It was like another Deus Ex Machina. Anyway. So I like it when the story changes in that way, where you understand something and it clicks. This game did not have that. There was nothing. It just obviated it. It was like, oh, everything you were doing, pointless.
The lore dumps were very long. I timed it at one point. I was playing for 90 minutes without combat at one point. Not that I was upset about not being in combat, because I don't like the combat in this game, but it was 90 minutes of not playing the game and getting story. And the pacing is all over the place in the second half.
And that's why, like, honestly, the halfway point that I picked is really not even the halfway point for the story. It's like 60 to 70% of the story. And then after that, it's just like telling you things that aren't interesting. And I guess you could count that as story, but it's really not. It's boring.
So that was the story of this game.
Yes.
So now, Mox, you've played it 1.5-ish times. Before, I want to remind you, you said it was a 7 or an 8. Now I would like to know, what do you think of this game? What is it?
So when I first played the game, I would have said, like, this is like an 8 or a 9. Because I, even up to the second half, because the first half floated it so much. But with the, the time passing and me being upset about playing it like a half time again, and the second playthrough, I did New Game Plus, thinking, okay, I can get more levels to get to 100, which is an achievement,
right? Or
I can like stomp these really hard enemies, and it'll be fun to just kind of like eat them like paper. Or I could bump up the difficulty and play it on a really high difficulty, which doesn't make sense, but it's only because I have like all of this stuff, all of this. I thought I would enjoy all of that, and I didn't. It was like, this game is so poorly balanced for New Game Plus, if you keep all of your stuff, that it's not fun. And like, I was playing on Unreal difficulty for most of it, but sometimes I would have to bump it down to like normal, and it didn't make sense to me. Like, I don't know why it's so inconsistent in that way. Anyway, so the gameplay wasn't fun on the second playthrough, so I do not recommend New Game Plus, even though New Game Plus is supposed to be like what you work towards. You get excited about it. It was not worth it. And then when the story sucks as much as it does, and like, I don't know, I'm still like chomping through everything really quickly for the most part. It just like, it happens all in a short span of time, and it's not much. And then, once I get to the second half, I'm like, I know what's coming, and I know it wasn't great. I really don't want to do that again, because like the difficulty, I couldn't figure out what difficulty to play at with my New Game Plus stats. I was like, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing the wedge again. I'm not doing Rena again. I'm done. And so that's why I didn't play it. So again, with like the retrospect of the second half sucking and the New Game Plus not being great, it's honestly like a 6.
Ooh, a 6. Okay. Austin, first time you did not do New Game Plus.
Correct.
Don't do New Game Plus.
Let's hear it.
So last time I think I gave a score of 6.
I will tell
for
you.
the first
I will
half.
tell you what you gave. You gave a 6, correct?
Yeah. So my issues there were I wasn't super engaged with the story, for what it was, and I didn't really enjoy the combat, and I was having issues with like the pop-in, visually, as a technical thing.
Yeah.
None of those problems went away in the second half.
Hey, they took away some they took away some fighting for you.
They took away fighting for like stretches, and then they added way more fighting in very long stretches
Right.
that you couldn't avoid, which was a lot worse. I actually turned the difficulty down to very easy for the final dungeon because I was just so tired of fighting all these mini bosses, and I was just like, even fighting all the stuff there, like none of it gave me that much experience.
No.
I think I was like level 40. I was in my 40s.
Experience
like low
is so
40s.
hard to come by.
I know. I was in low 40s when I made it to the final boss. The final boss is like 60 something.
Wow.
So
Jeez.
like, I was like, yeah, I could grind for all this, but no, I'm just going to turn it down to very easy mode because I am done with this game. The story did not get better. It got worse. The combat became unavoidable, which, in my opinion, made it worse. And the pacing just went WTF. I had a much worse time in the second half, and the pop-in issues didn't really go away. The things that I guess did work about the game continued to work.
Yeah.
I would give, after playing the second half, I would give this game a 4 out of 10.
Whoa! Holy cow!
I really did not enjoy it,
Makes
and
sense.
it did have some mild technical issues. Yeah.
Dang.
Would not play ever again. Would not recommend to anyone that I know. I know Andron's played this. I don't know if he liked it or not. I know he has played a lot of the Tales games, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I need to hear his opinion on it.
Yeah, we'll have to ask him, and then he'll have to talk about it in the end of year episode too. Curious.
Yeah. Especially compared to like other Tales games.
Mm.
I did try Tales of Symphonia yesterday just to kind of get a comparison, and it's funny, all the way back then they were doing the optional cutscene thing where it's like, hey, push this button and you'll get optional cutscenes when that button shows up on the screen, and they are much more low tech than the current ones, but they are there, and the battle system is more simple to the point where I think I was able to like digest it more. So I didn't play very far in, but at least I could make heads and tails of what I was doing. I don't know if I will play through Tales of Symphonia, but there was that. I did try it just to get a comparison. Yeah, 4 out of 10.
All right.
For Tales of Arise. Woof.
Yeah. I didn't finish it. I don't have any like feeling to finish it. Like I don't ever want to touch this game ever again. I'm glad I tried it though, because I was really curious about the Tales series, and I'm not going to use this to judge the whole series. In fact, I saw a little video clip of Tales of Fantasia, and that game looked really cool, and that it looked different enough to where I think that would be a fun one to look at. But I am glad that I played the first 15 hours of it. But it's not for me at all. I did play Xenoblade a little bit to try to understand, like, because I feel like they're similar in some ways. So I wanted to understand, like, why do I prefer Xenoblade? I think it comes down to the simplicity and the limited choice of the combat. It's like pretty simple, and you know, you can only do like a handful of moves, and and the auto attack just happens on its own. And it's pretty like straightforward. And I think for me, having that limited choice I prefer that when it comes to RPGs.
And your moves, I think, feel more impactful.
They do. The auto attack
in Xenoblade
obviously doesn't really matter, but every time you do like one of your bigger moves, they take a significant chunk of the HP down, and that makes you feel like, oh, I'm contributing to something.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give this like a 4 though. For me, I think it's just like a 5. Like, it's whatever.
Since you didn't play the second half, I'm going to consider your 5 invalid, but, you know.
Fine.
I get it.
You can invalidate my 5, but that's fine. But I think I don't know who I would recommend this game to. Like, honestly. Are there people in your... Like, Mox, do you have a friend that you would, like, totally recommend this game to?
Well, I did here, didn't I?
Well, that's true. That's true. But you gave it a 6. And then you said the second half was awful. So I don't know.
Again, in my second playthrough, I give it a 6.
Yeah, that's true.
In the first playthrough, I give it between an 8 and a 9.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
I really enjoyed it.
That is true. All right. Anything else about Tales of Arise before we put the nails in the coffin here?
No. Bury it.
Yeah. So that was Tales of Arise, part 2, the final part. If you enjoyed hearing us discuss and want to join us for the next Video Game Club episode, stay put, because the vote just ended, and it was nominations from Austin, and it was between the Red Strings Club, the Blackwell Legacy, and Before Your Eyes. And the winner is... I think it is going to be... Before Your Eyes. This game I saw on Steam, it recommends you play with a webcam. Austin?
Yes.
What do you know about this game? Like, is it required? Should we definitely play with a webcam?
So it has a unique control scheme.
It's
in that. So I have not looked deep into this game. I read a couple of things and I was like, I think I would like to get the rest of this fresh.
Okay.
From what I know about it, it's the title is basically your life is passing before your eyes. And whenever you blink, it changes to like a new scene.
Okay. This game's also on PSVR 2, I think.
Yeah, I believe that has eye tracking. So I think that's how it works in there. But
okay. Before Your Eyes. Thank you everyone who voted, of course. And just a reminder that the next game that we will play will come from nominations. So if you have from the viewers and listeners, the audience. So if you have a game that you're like, they should play this, or blah 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 is my favorite game, let us know. It doesn't have to be on Steam. It doesn't have to be like a recent modern game. It can be really old. If you're like, you guys should play Pong, you know, whatever. It can don't do Pong, but you know, pick a game. Doesn't matter. Thank you everyone for listening, joining us. The next episode will be on April 30th at 6 o'clock, because we have some Eastern, because we have some live stuff going on. So instead of 2 o'clock Eastern, it'll be at 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock Central, some other time zone. Austin, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Mox, thank you for nominating this game and also joining us.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. And
I was going to play this. I was interested in playing this regardless of, especially with your recommendation, but even outside of that. So don't feel bad that you recommended it. On the outside, it looked like something that I should like.
Same.
Especially on paper.
Same.
So I appreciate that you thought of me. I don't blame you for picking this at all.
No.
Okay.
Don't feel bad about your pick.
Oh my god. Definitely not. Special thank you to Andron, working behind the scenes. I'm Tyler, and this was Video Game Club episode 69, Tales of Arise, part 2, the final part, and we're out.